Hey everybody, we're going to get started in about 3 minutes.
Edward, are you in?
I am, are you?
Yeah, okay. Just making sure both your um, IDs are in. Okay. Yes. Hey, looks like everybody is starting to join in. We will start in about 1 minute.
I have verified both of my computers are talking, which is great.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is the future of technology, where it's not that you don't need a computer, it's that you need several computers to get through your day.
It's amazing that all these computers can talk to each other now.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, it's amazing with all of the modern, agents and technology and connectivity that we have. If I really, really quickly need to send something from one computer to the other, the best way is to WhatsApp it to myself. Um, so I don't know what that says about either my technological ability or where we are with the world, but looks like it's the top of the hour. Go ahead, start the
Yep.
recording. Take it away. Have fun.
Okay, so this webinar will be recorded, and we will not distribute the recording at the end, but you can always reach out to Edward or myself and set up a one-on-one and maybe even a personal demo if you want to learn more about this agent. So a few weeks ago, maybe almost even a month ago, those of you who have participated in our ChatGPT Agent for S space would maybe have heard, a lot of rumblings about, hey, when is ChatGPT going to talk to Oracle EPM? Well, you asked, and here we are. And we're going to show you how ChatGPT can talk to Oracle EPM today. So Edward's been working on it for quite a long while. So we're going to be showing you what's working today and how you can actually get a hold of it through a pilot. So you must stay till the end to learn how you can do that. So Edward, take it away.
Cool. I know I said on social media, no slides. I actually have one slide that I'm showing twice, which is contact information. And then I've got an architecture slide, and that's it. The rest will be demo. Okay. Quick show of hands. Who spent more than an hour last week trying to get planning data out of their system? Now, to be clear, not into it, but out of it. Okay, that's everybody that I can see. Um, okay, so here's the thing. Your planning data is valuable. It is hugely valuable. It tells you where you're going. It tells you how you're going to get there. And then we stick people with grids and Excel and having to have knowledge of dimensionality and understand cubes and plan types to get that valuable data back out. And we've been tolerating non-intuitive user experiences in enterprise EPM applications. I think I just said E twice. EPM applications, planning, consolidation, you name it, for decades. because we didn't really have a choice. Companies like Oracle did the best they could with the tools they have, but now we have this awesome, cool thing called generative AI. So today I'm going to show you what happens when you give an AI assistant direct access to your planning models. As it turns out, natural language is a pretty good interface. I mean, who knew? Don't know why it took us so long to figure that out. Because here's kind of the way planning works today. We spend days, weeks, months getting all of our data in. Now we have actuals coming out. We occurs to us, wow, I wonder how Q4 is doing. Show me my Q4 variance of how I'm doing actuals versus forecast. It takes a whole lot of clicks, maybe some Excel exports, I don't know, SmartView, pivot tables, and existential crisis. 20 minutes, and that's if you remember where everything is. And then you probably want to put it into a permanent report, so that takes a little while as well. The accuracy depends on whether you grab the right version and the right dimensions. If you're a finance person, you probably did. If you're outside of finance, you probably picked some number wrong and you're going to call and yell at somebody on the EPM team and go, where's the data I'm expecting to see? And it's like, oh, you missed 17 of those. The executive experience is even worse. The CFO is, oh, well, looks like we're off on Q4. What's driving the revenue miss? So the CFO asks the FP&A director, and the FP&A director asks the senior analyst, and the senior analyst asks the junior analyst who actually knows what EPM stands for and where the data lives. And the junior analyst spends about 2 hours creating a deck, and then they give it back to the CFO. By the time it reaches them, the answer is already stale. They forgot what they already asked. This is not a technology problem. It is an interface problem. Your EPM system, whether it's close and consolidation or account reconciliation or dimension management or tax provisioning or planning, it has all the answers. You just can't ask it questions as fast as you think of them. So the simple solution to this is being able to query in whatever language we want. So here is the fascinating way that you can actually do this. So AgentCube is what we created to bridge the gap between whatever your AI chatbot actually is. It could be ChatGPT, it could be Claude, it could be Copilot, I don't know, Grok, Gemini 3 is really popular right now. Whatever it is, as long as it can call an MCP tool, and that is the standard for connecting to external data, you can now talk to Oracle EPM. So what we built was that AgentCube that lets that MCP, Model Context Protocol, come talk, and then we change that from an MCP request that large language models know how to ask to a REST API request, which is what Oracle EPM knows how to ask. So you say something like, what is my Q4 variance? It writes a query to AgentCube. AgentCube's like, oh, I know where this data actually is. Let me go get it for you, gets the data, returns it back up, passes it all the way back up to the chatbot, and then the chatbot does some explanatory analysis. And by the way, with the exception of me showing that opening slide again, that is the entirety of the slides. So I'm going to jump in to show you what all this actually looks like at this point. Think about AgentCube as a server that connects AI to your EPM models. Now, in my case, I'm going to show you planning. It's the first thing we got. We've been requested. It's the first thing we got developed and fully ready to roll out. But just think of AgentCube as the plumbing that lets Claude, ChatGPT, or any AI assistant talk to your enterprise systems. What this means is that your AI assistant, chatbot, can now read your planning data. Your AI assistant can understand your model structure. You just ask it questions in plain English or whatever your language of choice is, or whatever language you start swearing in when you're frustrated, and it will convert that to the command that knows how to go get it from planning. What this doesn't mean, we didn't replace your planning system. You get to live with that. Congratulations. We sit on top of it. We also didn't train your AI on your data. It stays where it is. We didn't create another UI layer, another UI tool that you've got to maintain, or another new chatbot you have to go learn how to talk to. It's one less thing to break. So think about this as just giving your AI assistant backstage pass, hall pass, backstage pass to come talk to your models. In this case, planning is what I'm going to show you, and it turns out that's really darn useful. Okay. Oh, by the way, if you have questions throughout, use a little Q&A thing there in the webinar. I will rapid fire answer all these probably at the end when I'm done showing you stuff. But ask them to your heart's content. Okay. So, by the way, I love Claude. Claude 4.5 Sonnet is my daily driver model. Even though I'm showing you this to you in Claude, the same thing works in ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot or any of those other frontier models that are out there. You might have some, I don't know, in-house model or something that doesn't know how to do this, but any modern model will know how to talk to it. That said, you configure them all a little differently. You kind of have to point them differently at AgentCube, but this is how it works. It's in a second, I'm going to say, I want you to connect to planning because we are recording this. By default, I actually have it set to tell you what the IP address is or the URL name to let you know you're talking to the right server. I just don't want mine showing up. So I'm going to say connect to planning. Don't show the IP address because we are recording this. I'm going to connect to the planning cloud server for you. Well, that was pretty cool. Thanks. I successfully connected to Oracle EPM Planning Cloud. Thank you for not repeating the IP address, which it really, really wanted to. It does let me know what the server version is, and it lets me know what my user login is. What would you like to explore in planning? I don't know. What applications are available? Now, to be clear, this I'm connected to a sample FP&A model. It's my version of the standard Oracle EPM Cloud planning app, Vision, just with some slightly different dimensionality and some sample data. So when I say what's out there, congratulations, we have two applications available. There's Vision and there's sample. Um, what plan types? By the way, I don't have to talk to it in Oracle EPM language. I could just as easily have said what cubes are out there or what data do I have access to, and it would know it because it's a very, very smart large language model. It knows what tool calls it has access to. So it knows there's a call out there to say what plan types. So if I ask for cubes or anything else, it's smart enough to then figure out, oh, he wants to use the list plan types thing. It's just because I'm an EPM person, happen to know they're called plan types. Plan one sounds cool. It's offering up that they're block storage cubes. Thank you so much. Let's use Vision Plan one. Sounds fun. Now, I could skip a bunch of these steps. I'm showing it to you for demonstration purposes, but I could at the very, very beginning say, what dimensions are in the planning application, Vision Plan one. And I said, let's use Vision Plan one. I didn't say show me the dimensions, but it is a super helpful model. One of the reasons I really like Claude. If anybody doesn't know Claude, like all you know is ChatGPT, they're fundamentally the same, but they have different personalities. Claude, Sonnet 4.5 is Anthropic's chatbot. It's the one I use for just about anything except coding. I use Opus 4.5 for that instead of Sonnet. And for image generation or anything related to like podcasting or slide decks, I use Google. But Vision Plan has 7 dimensions: account, period, scenario, version. What would you like to query or explore? Now, I could have fun and not be explicit here. I played around with this a little bit ago and said, demo me some awesomeness. And it just wandered through the cube, having fun exploring things. But I'll say, what are the time periods? Go ahead, show me some of that. That sounds fun. Or I could say, what are the years? I don't have to. By the way, any dimensions I don't specify, that's bad in most planning applications. Like if you're doing SmartView report, you got to specify them all. I don't actually have to do that here because it's going to pick me smart members. Like if I don't specify currency, it's almost always going to pick USD. I am doing this webinar from Berlin, so it'd actually be kind of amusing if it decided to pick Euro, but so it went off, it queried the dimension. Here's the year, quarters, months underneath. All months are leaf level members. Thank you for that information. I don't really have anything else I want to do with. So let's make a query. Put the 4 quarters Now I'm going to intentionally not specify the member name the way it does. And the reason I'm doing that is to show you that you don't have to spell things correctly. Your users don't have to know what your model looks like. Put the four quarters across the top. Put revenue, I don't know what they're even called. Let's pretend they're called sources down the side. And I could have said put the children of revenue, or I could say put the descendants of net income or something like that. Um, Now notice I left off about seven dimensions. Well, probably five because I think there were seven in the cube. Yeah, we have seven in the cube. So I didn't specify scenario or version or entity or years or currency. So it's gonna first thing it does is it's like, oh, you want me to do revenue? I better go find some revenue. So it's gonna go off and query the outline. It's like, cool, I found revenue. I can see the revenue structure. Let me query a grid with the four quarters across the top and revenue sources down this side. Here is your handy dandy revenue cube for 2024 actuals for total company for USD. Interesting to see. Oh, by the way, it's trying to be helpful. So even though I never told it to actually do analysis, other income is quite substantial compared to product and service revenue. Q1 and Q4 show the strongest total revenue performance. What would you like to explore next? Just show product, and I could say things like keep only or whatever. Service revenue and other income. So I could also say zoom in, like zoom into product sales or zoom into services revenue or something like that. Now notice what it's doing when I say query data grid. For anybody, and a lot of you were on when I was showing Essbase. Was that just last week? Maybe it was the week before and the week before that. Um, you'll notice the way it queried Essbase was either a cell or a grid or it wrote MDX. That is not the way you query planning or consolidations. Planning, for instance, you go through data slices. Um, the user doesn't need to know that ever. The large language model knows what tools it has access to. So it knows, oh, I'm talking to Essbase. I need to go off and write some MDX or go write a nice grid query. Wow, my voice is getting messed up. However, because it knows it's talking to planning, what it's actually doing behind the scenes is it's writing a query against a data slice. Um, this is going to get slightly technical, but I just want to show you so that everybody's curious what's happening. What it's doing is it's constructing a query call behind the scenes. So what it's doing is it's requesting and it's saying the point of view. So it decided 2024 was a good year, and I could change that. I could say no, look at 25 if you wanted to. Total company, good job picking the top. The current version, there's USD. It tends to default to USD. There's actuals. In the rows, I want to see product, services, and other, and that's the account dimension. In the columns, I want to see the quarters. That's the period dimension, and then it knows the plan type in the application. Then AgentCube takes over. It's like, thanks for all that. Now let me worry about going and talking to planning. So it goes off and talks to planning, gets some data slices, writes some REST API, gets the results, returns it in this really compressed format called JSON. Your users will never see this. If I never expanded this little thing, they would never know. This JSON, however, is really ugly. But thankfully, we have a really smart large language model that knows how to take that ugly response back and says, I'm going to clean this up for you. Product revenue has got a lot of volatility across the quarters. It does indeed. Goes from 52 to 70. Service revenue is relatively stable with steady growth. Other income is substantial and variable. I don't know. We could say focus on Q3, compare budget and actual. And since I'm on 2024, I should have budget and actual. By the way, eventually I could stumble across a member that doesn't exist. Like I could say, I don't know, compare best case scenario and worst case scenario. It's going to handle that really gracefully and come back and rather politely tell me that it can't find it. It's like, and then it'll offer up, but you could be interested in this. Um, Q3 shows misses on product and services revenue, whatever. If you don't like the results, rather than continue on, you also can go back and edit. So I could say, focus on Q3, show, I don't know, show USD and other and euro across the columns. Maybe I want to do some currency fluctuation stuff. So it's going to go back and it's going to rerun the query. By the way, it's I have it on a model that intentionally is a thinking model, which is why you periodically see that symbol out there going on. That hi, I'm Claude, trying to be helpful. The If I went to a non-thinking model, it's going to be instantaneous. It's just not going to be as smart. And that's that kind of trade-off between speed of retrieve and intelligence of retrieve. The data is always still going to be correct. The big thing that's going to change is it's going to um, not do any of the analysis. The formatting might not look quite as good. And I Here, what if I went off and did a brand new one again? So go off and let's connect to planning. Don't show the IP, pretty please. Always be nice to your LLM, so after the upcoming revolution, you might have a chance at living. Now, I could jump ahead at this point. Here, I'll even queue it up. Connect to Vision Plan 1. And I could say, what's our revenue? I'm going to give it a big query to go deal with. Variance for Q3. By the way, I didn't have to do the connect to planning up above. I could have just said for Vision Plan 1, what's our revenue variance for Q3? Now, notice I skipped a whole lot of steps here. I didn't tell it the entity I was looking at. I didn't tell it what dimensions were out there. It hasn't queried any of this. A thinking model has no problems at all with this because a thinking model is going to know, oh, I have to do multiple steps. I have to get details about the application. I have to get the schema that's out there. I need to go find revenue. I need to figure out where Q3 is. It guesses that there's probably budget versus actual out there it needs to analyze. All of this information that comes back is going to be 100% correct. What is not necessarily correct, people go like, well, I've heard about hallucinations. Its analysis could be hallucinated because, as I said, this is sample data. I don't know if you saw it a second ago, but euros should have been less than USD because it's sample data. It wasn't. And sometimes it actually comes back and says, uh, yeah, I've noticed that your currency rates seem to be inverted. Let me fix them for you. Sometimes it doesn't notice at all. So notice it's right now it's analyzing Q3. There's budget. Here's actual. Here's variance. Seems to be favorable. Actual is higher than budget. Congratulations, you beat budget by about 1.4 million in Q3. All of this is completely accurate. That is definitely the budget number. That is definitely the actual number. That is definitely the variance coming back. Zero hallucinations. But what if I said this? Why are we missing budget? Now, at this point, I'm asking it to reason. Now, the more data I give it, the more information about my business I give it, the better it's able to ask me or to answer this. Well, first of all, wait, I just showed you beating budget, you idiot. Actual revenue came in above budget. Are you asking a different metric? Let me ask that again. Why are we beating budget? I love it when it politely tells me I was being stupid. Um, so why are we beating budget? Now, there is no good answer to this. This is sample data, but it can actually wander around and try and find things that led to this, like, oh, you had a surge in product revenue, or oh, other income exceeded expectations, or there was an entity out there. The variance story is actually more complex than it looks. We actually missed on product, missed on services, increased on other. You're beating total revenue because other income massively overperformed, which more than offset the underperformance in our core business. Now, this is purely numeric. This part here, the real question is what's driving that surge in other income. That's not usually where you want your variance revenue to come from if you're trying to run a predictable business. If I asked it to then dive into that a little bit, it would have fun trying it, but you just have to take the results with a grain of salt. It can't look out the window. It's doing it purely based on the data and it's trying to draw conclusions. So it's drawing a conclusion that other income is oddly surging and it shouldn't. Now, you could do something like this. Let me try. Actually, I'm going to go way back up here to this connected vision one. I'm going to say something slightly different in this case. I'm going to say create an executive summary of our, I don't know, FY 2025 forecast. Let's include revenue by region, I'm going to ask for EBITDA, which is interesting because it doesn't actually have EBITDA on the model, but it does have net income, and I want to kind of test it and see if it can figure it out. Top three risks and biggest planning assumptions. Now, this is the sort of query that actually I'm going to have it make it concise. My CFO has a short attention span, kind of like my webinar viewers. Now, this is the sort of query that can go off and run for a while, depending on how much data it wants to investigate. Sometimes it'll come back fairly quickly because it'll, I don't know, maybe Anthropic's running particularly fast, your planning server is running fast. Because I have a thinking model on, it's actually going to do multiple steps. So it's going to create a nice executive summary, and it might do it in 15 seconds, or it might find something interesting that it's going to go look at. But let's say it takes a minute to get back because I just told to go off and do something. Compare that to the 2+ hours of finding data, copying it from Excel into PowerPoint, reformatting tables, making sure that nothing is inconsistent. The AI actually read the model, it understood the context, and it's writing the summary. And then it's giving it to you, and you review it, make sure it all makes sense. You make the edits, and your FP&A team gets a couple hours back per week, maybe forever. Um, there's also one really fun thing that you can do. You can actually tell it to go off and find its own insights. One of my favorite questions to ask is this one. What questions should I be asking about this forecast that I'm not asking? It will then go in and look at all my data and go, why are you predicting a 15% increase in revenue when you've never done better than 7%? Or it'll come back and say, why are you predicting so much more growth than your competitors within this business? So it's going to let you interact where you're doing it. It's going to go off and find all your data. It's not going to hallucinate. It's having fun preparing an executive summary right now. Ah, I wondered if it could find it. EBITDA trend. Notice it didn't have EBITDA. It's not in the model, but it said EBITDA, the closest we're going to get is net income. So net income grew from 41 to 64. That was a 56% increase. Top three risks. Q4 has 27% of your revenue. Not a good thing because Q4 tends to suck. Expense base is relatively flat. We're going to get margin compression. Regional balance is heavily weighted to the West and the East, and corporate is underperforming. We get linear quarterly growth, a stable expense base, West region maintaining momentum, and no significant pricing changes. Now, one of the first questions everybody tends to ask at this point, can it connect to other applications as well? So right now, I'm connecting to Oracle Essbase. I showed you all that a couple weeks ago. We're also connected to Oracle EPM Planning. We're about to roll out Oracle EPM Close and Consolidations. We have a list of other things to connect to. The next on the list, once we roll out EPM Close and Consolidations, product formerly known as FCC, might oddly be HFM. Getting a bunch of requests for that one. People, I think it was like taking a really, really legacy system and then just wrapping the most modern technology in the world you possibly can on it. I'm getting requests for Anaplan, Adaptive, OneStream. We're going to add more quarterly based on whatever the demand is. If you're on something obscure or horribly custom, we can probably still make it work. It just takes longer to get it to do it. The other most asked for thing is, can you talk to blank general ledger that's out there? Absolutely. We just have to add it on the back end and tell it how to go talk to that GL. So if you're like, yeah, I'd love it if it not only pulled in my planning data, but also if I wanted to drill in, I want to have it go talk to my accounts payable or my general ledger or my sub ledger. You can completely do that. It just takes longer on the implementation. Okay. At this point, I have about 700 questions coming in. Uh, how does security and permissions work? So AgentCube actually isn't doing any security itself. It's actually respecting your existing planning system permissions. So if a user can't see, I don't know, Europe data in Oracle EPM, the AI can't see it either. It's only going to see what that user and password has access to. We have it turned off for the moment, but if you wanted us to turn on right back, it would follow the same rules. There is no backdoor access. It's not using a system account. It didn't dump your whole cube into, I don't know, autonomous warehouse. It's using the user's actual username and password to come connect. Uh, if you want additional permissions, I don't know, this user can't run these type of queries, or this user can't ask for this, but this user can. Things that aren't in the EPM layer or S-base layer or whatever it is, we can add that. It's no problem at all. Uh, what if AI hallucinates or gives the wrong answers? I kind of talked about that, but it's a fair question, comes up probably more often than anything else. The AI only uses your planning data. It is not generating numbers from thin air. That said, it can misinterpret your questions, or it can surface wrong data if your model is, how do I put this politely, really messy. So for instance, oh, well, we stored this weird price at the intersection of these 7 dimensions. Well, you need to tell the model that's where you store that weird price. Um, Here's what I recommend, but any number it pulls from the system is going to be 100% correct. It's not going to make up a number if it can't find it. It'll just tell you it can't find it. Uh, what I recommend, number one, start with read-only access to build trust. Get people comfortable with, no, if it's talking to planning or S-base or consolidations or whatever, that number is 100% correct. Validate the first few weeks of responses. People will generally like it because it's so much easier to use than any other tool you've got out there. Plus, everybody's already using ChatGPT like it's gone out of style. Um, I'd probably wait to enable write back. What I would suggest is maybe you don't directly edit numbers through the chat, but maybe you turn on the ability to say, create a new scenario and see if expenses go up 20%. So control what it's able to actually write back from the AI. Also, every query gets logged. There's a response for audit trails. You can see kind of what is being queried. Do you train AI models on our data? No. Neither do any of the chatbot people as it relates to tool calls. Your planning data stays in your system. AgentCube is just that bridge. So it'll query your data on demand. It'll send the results back to whatever the AI assistant chatbot is. Nothing is stored by AgentCube. Nothing is trained. We are obsessive about how it does all this in memory because A, regulations, and B, your data is really valuable. So it's just a pass back up. The old way of doing this like 3 years ago, that's weird to say it was old, like 3 years ago is you'd actually take a bunch of your data and you would fine tune the model. That's another way of saying you're kind of adding it to sort of a training portion. You do not have to do that. You plug this thing in and immediately you have live data. How long does the implementation take? Oh, I like it. Um, Depends on your complexity of your planning system, but probably even more the complexity of your IT security setup. Uh, if it's a simple model, you've got an S-base cube or you got a plan type that kind of follows the standard dimensions, you're probably talking a week or two. If it's a complex setup, you've got custom calcs, you got messy dimensions where things are in weird places. I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks. If it's a nightmare setup, you know who you are. Call Caprus, they'll assess it. Most of the pilots we've run so far on S-base, and we just started piloting on the planning side, they're getting queries running in week 1, and then fine tuning it by like about week 4. Can this replace our planning system? No. I'm sorry. You AgentCube is just an interface layer. It is not a planning engine. You still need S-base or Oracle EPM or Anaplan or whatever for doing your calculations and your workflows and your data storage. What AgentCube is replacing is your users having to be planning experts or SmartView geniuses or data wizards who know the exact spots where everything is. And if you don't specify every dimension, data disappears. Going back to what I said earlier about potentially sticking this on top of HFM, what you're doing is you're putting a modern interface that's queryable in any language anyone speaks on planet Earth, and you're putting that modern interface on legacy infrastructure. What's the ROI? That's kind of like asking how long is a piece of string. Um, it depends on your team size and your current pain level. So I don't know. I'm gonna do math in my head. Let's say you had a really tiny FP&A team, like I don't know, 5 people, and you save 80 hours per year per person, 5 times 80 is 400 total hours total. Uh, $75 an hour loaded cost. That's $30,000 a year you're saving starting immediately. Now there's a cost to roll it out, and that depends on complexity. But I guess I said 5 people in FP&A. That's a really small, simple implementation. So I don't know. Let's say you're talking 30 to 60K to roll it out to everybody means you're breaking even in 12 to 24 months at my really low numbers. I think your costs are probably higher than that. I think you're probably saving a whole lot more than 80 hours per year per person. Uh, that said, your actual ROI, better decisions, faster planning cycles, getting answer to the right people at the right time, less analyst burnout. That's hard to quantify, but it's really real. Will this eliminate I'm going to rephrase this one slightly to not give away. Will this one eliminate FP&A jobs? I would say not unless your FP&A's team's job is 100% data retrieval. If so, you probably have bigger problems. Most FP&A teams have a list of about 100 things to accomplish before they die, and they are so far behind, they will never be allowed to die. This is going to speed up and eliminate the low value work. The data exploration, trying to find something, the trying to explain a number, the copy, control C, control V, pasting, formatting hell. Um, it's going to free them up to do the higher value things. Actual analysis, modeling, strategic thinking, maybe different versions of the budget. It makes the junior people a whole lot more productive, a whole lot faster because they don't need to memorize where everything lives. They don't need the tribal knowledge. Um, you're essentially turning FP&A's role from being Excel jockeys and instead trying to make sure action actually happens. Being strategic advisors. Your CEO will thank you greatly for this. Um, Planning has not been something people celebrate for decades. I know of no company that's like, oh, good, we get to start budgets this week, and then they have a party. They're super excited. It's like, oh, that's going to be our lives for the next 12 weeks. It's been painful for a long time, but we've built this wonderful systems, right? We built incredibly sophisticated models. We just wrapped them in traditional interfaces. Somebody decided way back when a grid was a way to get data in, therefore a grid is a way to get data back out again. AgentCube doesn't fix planning, it just makes it a whole lot less miserable. So if you spend more than, I don't know, 5 hours a week fighting your planning system just to answer basic questions, you should pilot this. If your executive is asked what if questions and you visibly wince, you probably should pilot this. If your FP&A team, I don't know, dreams of a world where variance analysis doesn't require waiting for someone else to click on something 47 times, you should definitely pilot this or keep doing what you're doing. I'm not your boss. Your analysts will quietly resent you, along with most of your managers. They're very good at quiet resentment. Let's tackle some more questions because they're coming in rather wildly at this point. Can it create dynamic alternate hierarchies, or do they need to be predefined in the application outline? That is a fun question. I haven't tried it, but I'll tell you how it would work. Yeah, it will build dynamic alternate hierarchies on the fly. So, for instance, let's say I had East, West, South, Central, and I said uh, our emerging markets are South and Central. Give me a total for that. It actually would. It would pull the South number, pull the Central number, and it would total it up. Um, if you wanted to look at it, and it would remember it for that whole chat session that you created that concept called like emerging markets. I'm positive that would work because I've done something pretty similar to it. If you want everybody to be able to refer to it, you're kind of in the old situation. You probably want to add it to the application outline. But if you're just doing it for kind of ad hoc stuff, it actually did that at one point. It was creating, I think it was a variance percentage on something I didn't necessarily give it. Maybe it was a it was a revenue percentage on what percentage of that line was of the total. So it was not creating a dynamic alternate hierarchy, it was creating a kind of a dynamic measure it'll do that for you as well. Users need to subscribe to Claude. Any limitations of using the free version? I'm going to take it up a notch to Claude or ChatGPT or Grok or Gemini, all of them. Some of them will let you access an MCP with the free version. They might call it something like tool use. Some of them will not. I would say most of them will not. Uh, yeah, you should have a paid version of whatever it is. Like if you're using ChatGPT, pay for ChatGPT Plus. The data is more secure. You have more queries. You have more token usage. You can do tool calls. Same thing with Claude. Pay for Claude Pro. Pay the $20 a month. Get access to it. Other companies will have enterprise licenses, like they'll have an enterprise license to Copilot. So you've got the paid version, whether you kind of realize it or not. How's it deal with alternate hierarchies? I'm guessing most EPM models database have alternates across many most dimensions. It deals with it great. I actually asked it. It was when I was testing against Essbase. I haven't tested it against planning, but it works the exact same way. I had to do some analysis on Diet Colas. It found that Diet Colas was an dynamic alternate hierarchy, and it just let me analyze it and start zooming into it. It had no problem with it at all. Um, can the agent process a query that requires data from multiple cubes or pods simultaneously? Yes, it can. I have tested this one. So since I had both planning and Essbase up and running, I had some data, some revenue product data that was coming out of Essbase, and I said go combine that with the planning data. It had no problems doing that. The way I set it up is each one appears as a separate MCP. So there's an Essbase MCP, there's a planning MCP. If it needed to query multiple cubes, it would have no problem doing that. It will go connect to multiple all day long. Um, it will even connect to different URLs. It'll if you had different logins, it could handle that. It's designed to be multi-session capable. Uh, I'm trying to think of other examples. Oh, I'll give you one. Let's say you wanted to combine data from your GL with data from your consolidation system. You'd have to have Caprus create the MCP connection to the financial GL, but then as soon as it did, you could query them both in the same chat. Can it do Hyperion admin tasks, load data, run calcs, export? Gary answered that one in text. What is the funding model? Are we purchasing a contract to use it for a flat fee per user, an enterprise license? Or are we paying by token for all users? Uh, when you're actually using it, you're paying nothing to me or nothing to Caprus for each query that you're doing. However, you are using tokens on the large language model side. So if you're paying the $20 per month version for like ChatGPT or Claude, unless you, I don't know, query your entire cube, you're probably not going to hit your token limit every 3 to 5 hours. But let's say your company has a certain block, like we get a cost of $5 per million tokens that we use, then it would come off of that $5 per million tokens. Wow. So how does Edward make money? How does Caprus make money? We we're doing the install for you. Plus, we're adding on any additional features that you want. So let's say you said, we want some admin functionality. We want the user to be able to kick off a calc. We want the user to be able to kick off a what if scenario. We want them to be able to, I don't know, launch, I don't know why you would, but launch a backup from, inside of your large language model. We add that on and we just charge you for it. It's just pure services. Apparently, I explained this badly at the beginning. So is AgentCube the MCP? Yes. AgentCube is the MCP server. It is the thing in the middle that's going to make all this work. So it's your planning system has all the answers. You just can't ask it questions. So your chat is where you're going to ask the questions. We are AgentCube, MCP server in the middle, and you go talk to your planning system that's got all the answers back there. There are more coming in every couple of seconds. By the way, this is not your only opportunity to ever ask me anything. I just promised I would show up and throw up and show you how it actually all works and answer any questions you all have got out there. Let me share a bit of contact information one more time with everybody. So I'll give you a few different bits of kind of where do you go from here. So, um, in terms of, uh, is it actually showing?
No,
Okay, let me
I
try it again.
think your screen has paused.
Oh, well, that's fun. I'll just show my whole screen. I don't care. Um, there it goes. Okay, cool. Um, so there are three different groups we have on today's webinar, and I'll talk to all three of you individually. So first of all, there are some customers on here that actually live have Oracle EPM or have Essbase or have something else they want to connect to. They want to pilot this. We have already started piloting the EPM with one company. I have room for like two more. And Lillian has a questionnaire to fill in if you want to become one of those two that are piloting this. And you got to fill it in because we're trying to qualify the right type of people because we want to thoroughly vet this whole solution out. Um, Lillian, do you want to drop the link to that questionnaire in the chat or do you want to email it to everybody later?
Um, Everybody who's interested, please email me. I will also drop the link, but again, it's a quick, less than 5 minute questionnaire that you'll have to fill out, and then the team and I will review it and get back to everybody who indeed will qualify for the pilot.
Cool. So that's for the pilot to try out the planning side, and we'll work with you to get your feedback on it. We're only limiting it to a couple more companies right now, just because we want to make sure it's fully productionized, ready to roll out. All the kinks are worked out before we roll it out to all of planet Earth. So small window of opportunity if you want to be one of those couple of companies. To everybody else that's out there, email Lily and say, yes, I'm very interested in using this. I think this would solve this massive problem I have happening at my company. Everybody's pestering me to put ChatGPT on top of my solution. This will give you the ability to actually do it. Email Lillian if you either want to use the Essbase one, you want to use the Oracle EPM one, planning consolidations, explain what you want. Also email Lillian if there's something else you want to connect to. The answer is almost definitely yes, we can connect to it. We'll tell you, yeah, getting it to connect to that will cost this. So email Lillian, we'll tell you what it would take to get it connected to that. Once you've got that connector, use it all you want. You could roll out to 5 people or 500 people. Once it's up and running in your environment, it's on you to have fun rolling out to everybody, which lets me address the second audience that's on today's call, which is some Oracle people. Uh, this applies to everybody. Here's what I predict is going to happen. Um, Opening up the front door to Oracle EPM or whatever your solution is, to Oracle EPM is going to result in more people being able to access it. It's going to result in more people wanting to access it. Unless you tightly control it at your customer site, you're going to have more people going, oh, every cost center manager, every profit center manager is going to want to come see their data and ask questions of their data, and not have to wait for somebody else to get back to them. So why this matters to Oracle is this might very well increase the number of users that your customer is going to call you back and go, I want more people actually getting into this system. Why does this matter to all of you customers out there already using it? You can control it like you currently do and say you got to be a specific user, or I have to teach you SmartView or go to all this training class. Just be aware if you want to, you have the ability to totally open this. You can democratize your data, and a whole lot more people than the traditional group that understands dimensionality can start accessing data. Third group that's on today, I see a whole lot of EPM implementers. Let me be perfectly clear on this one. Neither I nor Caprus has any interest in doing an Oracle EPM implementation. Zero, none. End of conversation. That is your job. Please do an EPM implementation. Do an awesome job at it. If your customer then wants to put AI on top of it so they can have ChatGPT or Claude, email Lillian. And we'll help work with you. We can handle that AI portion to connect these two, and they will sit on top of your EPM implementation. Any other questions that have come in, Lillian? I think I finally got through them all.
We have one
EP,
more question. Oh, yeah. Is
yeah,
this an
EP,
option for EPBCS and EPCM?
Yeah, ePBCS, it will already work against that because it goes through the same REST API as the other Oracle EPM planning as long as it's on the cloud. We haven't, you're the first person to request profitability and cost management, but we can add it to the queue. They use similar our AgentCube, the reason we were able to roll out planning so quickly after Essbase is that there's a common technology that all the Oracle products use for kind of going in through that. So once our AgentCube knew how to talk to one, it's pretty easy to modify it to talk to the others. So that's why it's going to be right after planning that we're going to add consolidation, and then we're going to figure out the other ones we want to add. So it might be profitability and cost management. It gets added after that, depending on what the user customer demand is for that out there. And with that, I think I demoed and answered questions for 47 minutes. So I will turn it back over to you, Lillian.
Thank you so much, Edward. This is super exciting. And everybody who participated in today's webinar, thank you so much for your time. I will not have that link to the pilot questionnaire available now, but please email me if you are indeed interested. We have a lot of people in the queue, but again, the more pilots that we do, the faster and the more accuracy that we'll have to your specific system, and the sooner you'll be able to take advantage of this AgentCube solution. So stay tuned, continue following us on social and via email. We're doing some really, really interesting things. And as Edward said earlier, we are expanding this throughout all of the different EPM functions and business processes. So it's a very exciting time. And thank you again.
Thank you, everybody. And my email's there, edward@roske.ai. I have a lot of friends and acquaintances on today's that I think wanted to show up. Feel free to email me and say hi. I'm happy to talk to you offline as well. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.